Hello everyone, welcome to Cricket Chronicles with Chandresh. India versus England starts on February 5th, and it's a huge honor to have a hero of English cricket, someone who's made a name for himself world over with his left arm spin, and who's had a big impact on English teams playing in in India, especially on three successive tours. Welcome to this chat, Monty. How are you doing?
Yeah, so thank you for having me on your show, and yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited about the series that's going to start in the next couple of days, and I think India seem to be firm favourites.
I just want to take you back in time and talk about your special relationship with India in the sense that you came here first in 2000. I remember seeing you at the MIG club in Mumbai as an under 19 cricketer, and then in 2006 you made your test debut here. So, what's the kind of relation that you've had with India over the years?
Yeah, India's been always been very close to my heart, and I've got a lot of huge fan base in India. I only realise whenever I a tweet about will India win this Test match or not, I just get like 90% yeses, and you begin to realise how big the fan base is. But I think it's more to do with me being I've got Indian sort of heritage in terms of my grandparents, great grandparents, I'm only second generation in the UK, so there's a huge link between India and England, and cricket's makes that link much easier. So yeah, it's I love coming to India. I think it's a great place, and I feel very much at home whenever I visit India.
And I still remember 2000 when you were playing under 19 test match in Mumbai. The kind of interest around you even then was surreal. Do you remember some of that?
Yeah, I do actually. There was a huge interest. I remember having a chat with Bisham Bedi, telling me about spin bowling, and his methodology was you got to bowl it slow in the air but get lots of revs on it so it kind of spins quick off the pitch. And it's the art that I really, that's the art of bowling, which I probably, maybe a few balls, I did bowl like that, but I think game has kind of changed and moved on where, you kind of, I think that people play the sweep, the reverse sweep. The game has kind of changed, so you got to adapt with the game. So there's parts of spin bowling, let's say, you can use in different eras, and you just got to adapt with time. That's just the way cricket has evolved. I'm a big fan of the cricket, how it's evolved. And in India as well, when I played, I remember Gautam Gambhir scored a double hundred. Then there was Parthiv Patel who played as well, a young 16-year-old, and yeah, it was great to see, to play against them when we had, against each other in the national setup.
And then 5.5 years later, when you were called up to Nagpur for the test debut, what are the feeling like? And you got your one of your heroes wicket, Sachin Tendulkar's wicket. I was listening to your podcast on Talk Sport, and it was amazing to listen to you, Sean Udall, and Steve Harmison, Matthew Hogarth, reliving that 2006 tour, and you talking about how you used to bore all your teammates about facts about Sachin Tendulkar and so on and so forth. What was that like? Making your debut, getting your first wicket in Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah, that's I think it all comes down to moments like that are to do with, like, the backing of the coaches and the team setup. We all kind of together were just we just thought we embraced the culture of India. India's a hard place to tour if you're from a Western country because of the chaos, the disorganization, but how it all just works. Everyone just works and fits in, and the country's at the moment, like, it's booming, isn't it? It's like it's a lot easier than 2006 to tour. And I always obviously enjoyed the culture because I understood everything about India. But it's interesting to see, like, how divided the country is at the moment with the farmers' protests, which even like Rihanna posted a tweet and I asked her for an interview, and it kind of went, people picked it up in India. So you can see that there's a lot of interest in the things I say and what I'm doing right now. So look, I think that tour was amazing, like to be in the same company of on the same field as Sachin, and I actually remember we was a warm up. We was doing warm up, and Sehwag came out, and it just erupted, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what these are god status cricketers, and then when we as a team went out, we didn't get the same reception, and that is sometimes you can actually, as a cricketer, you can get caught up in that hype. You start thinking that, gosh, I'm really better than what I think I am, and then let's say when you're not performing well, I'm sure the India fans must absolutely go crazy. So there's a huge like responsibility on a cricketer, and that's why when you look at someone like Sachin, you kind of think, gosh, he had to deal with that throughout his career. That godlike status. When they didn't do that well, he had to cope with that pressure. That was a tremendous amount of pressure. You only when you see it, when you feel it, you kind of think, gosh, there's something special about him that he's able to mentally, take on that burden.
You were part of three test wins in India, and it sort of dried up for opposition teams in India since you guys played here. Uh, how special were those three wins, especially the one in Mumbai? Because yours was a really like almost like an Indian side which won in Australia recently with half the side not there and a young squad holding India in India first time in 2006 and then in 2012 you winning the series. So first about the 2006 Mumbai win. Would you say that there are some parallels between that squad that did well in India and the one that went and won in Australia recently for India?
Well, I think there's a complete different shift in mindset. I think the biggest changes have come when you've had people in administration roles who are ex-cricketers. So, the ex-cricketers that, like I'm talking about, look at in England, we've got Ashley Giles. South Africa's is Graham Smith. In India, we've got, Saurav Ganguly. So they kind of know, especially in this year's IPL, there was every youngster coming through that you can think, wow, this guy can play in the national team. And he's just developed this fearless attitude, with Ravi Shastri. He said, look, it doesn't matter which 11 we play, we are going to be fearless. We are going to win any given situation because that's the style, that's the brand of cricket we're playing, and that's what you're getting from the IPL after 10 years of investing in the IPL, producing some great cricketers, and what a great marketing tool it's been for India and in terms of the economy. Finally, you guys are just producing cricketers that don't need a lot of first class experience, but the IPL experience is enough. Shubnam Gill is a great example. He's only scored 500 first class runs, and he was on the verge of getting his, test 100, and looks so comfortable at international level. I haven't come across many cricketers who've only played a handful of, games, and they're ready for Test cricket. It's because of the intensity of the IPL, and I think that India is the first country that is beginning to say, right, you do well in the IPL, we'll put you in the Test team. Why didn't Australia do that? There's some great cricketers in the Big Bash. Halfway through the series, they could have just said, "Yeah, let's play Ben McDermott." Great hitting, a lot of sixes, attacking batsman. He's fearless. It's the attitude. I don't think Australia, England, or South Africa, they don't have that attitude of saying, "Let's have a T20." And also the standard. There's probably IPL is the best standard in the world, and the way they sort of, I think strategically place youngsters. Anil Kumble with the young leg spinner, under 19 leg spinner, he's mentoring him. Irishaya, young captain, Ricky Ponting mentors him. You look at that, they strategically place these batters. The young left-hander, opening batsman, he's got Virat Kohli, De Villiers to help him through. So you can see that Ganguly has strategically wants these youngsters in these particular teams so they can really develop really well. And that's something that I haven't seen. I think the strategy hasn't been so, I think decisive or clear when it comes to maybe other T20, leagues around the world.
And that's a very good point to make. And so, those three test wins, where would you place them in your career? The first one in Mumbai in 2006, and the two which won the series in 2012. Where would you place them in your career in the test wins that you've had?
Yeah, I'll probably say the 2012 will be the best one, for me. And then Mumbai again. We've won twice there in 2006. Yeah, and then I'll probably put Kolkata one third. So yeah, they're all the three sort of in order. I would have the victories. Mumbai's always been I've always been successful in Mumbai. So it's it'll be interesting to see. Certain places are like you feel more home than others because of the victories you've had. So yeah, I've always enjoyed being in Mumbai.
And what was it about India and the partnership with Graham Swan in 2008 also? You guys did well. You lost the series 1-0, but it was a short series because of what happened in Mumbai in 26-11. So Mumbai is like a running thread in your test tryst with India. So there's something related to Mumbai always in your career. So what was it about your partnership with Graham Swan, which which did well over two tours, and it eventually paid off in 2012?
Yeah, I think it was to do with back in Northants. Really, we played a lot of cricket together. We played on turning pitches, and we kind of knew how to bowl on a turning surfaces together. And then when we came on the Mumbai surface, um, we knew that how to bowl on these pitches. We kind of because we had that experience at Northants, which was similar wickets, to be honest, in India, turning wickets. We had the likes of Mike Hussey, who wasn't a great player of spin, but I used to bowl hours and hours in the nets to him. And he ended up, I'm not saying he ended up, he's practicing, but, I remember Nick Cook, second team coach, he's the umpire now. He'll come out of the office and say, Monty, he'll drag us out of the nets. He goes, no more training now. And Mike Hussey used to love it because he was from Perth, great player of seam, but he didn't really play spin very well. And same with Matthew Hayden. I used to bowl to him loads when I was a youngster. So it's Northants has been a great place to learn how to play spin.
And it's interesting you say that because not just Graham Swan. I was just reminded about the fact that Sean Udall was your able partner on the 2006 Mumbai Test. So you kind of team up very well with off spinners.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier because if I'm bowling to a left-hander and the ball's coming in and he's batting really well, I normally say to Swanee or Udell, Sean, I say, look, I'm gonna give him a single so you can get him out. And we used to do that all the time. He'll say to me, look, Monty, give me this batsman. I know how to get him out. Just get him off strike. And I used to do that. I used to bowl it full down the leg. They can knock it for one, and then he'll get him out, and then he'll do the same for me. And I think that's the partnership of having an off spinner and a left arm spinner. I think you can really help each other just to get the wickets.
And you had three different captains on your tour to India. First was Andrew Flintoff, second was Kevin Peterson, and the third was Alistair Cook. How would you compare the three gentlemen?
Yeah, look. Andrew Flintoff wanted to captain the team, and he was a big leader, big character. He's like he gave me a lot of confidence in my ability. I remember he chucking the ball at me. Come on, Monty, this is business time now. No more of this fairy tale of feeling starstruck. You gotta like get these guys out. And then he's always and I've also enjoyed what he's done after cricket. So he was very close. Like a close friend of mine. And you see some people that once they finish playing cricket, they don't maybe want to pursue or do something great in their next chapter. But that's something that I kind of like. I like to follow the footsteps of afterwards as well. The media entertaining sort of sector that he's done brilliantly well. Kevin Peterson, I thought he was just extremely unlucky, with what happened with the Mumbai terrorists, which is so unfortunate, heartbreaking to see. And then he had to, we just had to play a team because to fulfill, is something which was the right thing to do, to play, in India. And I think, probably looking back, he may have thought maybe the captaincy came a bit too early, maybe should have, because he was such a X factor cricketer, marketable cricketer around the world. Possibly the captaincy, was a bit of an extra responsibility where he could have just maybe become vice captain, had a couple of years of just being this marquee player around the world, and then taking on the captaincy. So that was a difficult one. But Alistair Cook, again, his first captain in India. and we win the tour after 28 years, and Kevin Peterson at his best, like I honestly, I remember when he used to take the pads off, he'd say, "Come on, Monty, no pads, and I'm going to still hit you out of the ground." And then when he used to hit me, he would say, "Go and fetch." So we had this great relationship during training where I would get really angry. I would actually try and hit his legs, bowl really fast at his legs, and he would move his legs out of the way. And so we had such a great fun together that in the end, he was a much better player of spin without the pads. He was awesome. He would move his feet. He would, when I bowl it at the stumps, he would expose the stumps and whack me everywhere. And that training was great. I really enjoyed that contest. That's the part I kind of sometimes miss when I'm, playing for England. It was enjoying, how we can, compete against each other and help each other's game.
And I'm sure that no other captain except Flintoff would have introduced you to a new brand of music in Johnny Cash and Elvis Presley. Am I right? I'm sure Alistair Cook wouldn't have introduced you to any kind of music.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look, Andrew Flintoff's got different tastes. I think he's from up north Manchester. They sort of say, "Hey, how's it going, lad?" Well, we say, "How's it going, mate?" So that's probably the difference. But yeah, there's certain interests that he has I don't have, and Johnny Cash, the Ring of Fire, Elvis Presley. So boxing is another one. I started doing boxing because I seen doing him, and just seeing how he's evolved his fitness. So yeah, it's interesting. Certain characters you just warm to, or you like their habits, and you like the way they motivate themselves in life, and he's one of them.
And after you won in Mumbai, is it true? Because I was listening to your podcast. Is it true that you sang the Johnny Cash Ring of Fire song together in 2006?
Yeah, we sang that during lunch because we were thinking, we don't know what's going to, we didn't know what was going on. We played against the great Indian team. Let's just give it our best as a turning wicket. Who knows what's going on? We went around the circle. We're just singing this song, Johnny Cash. I'm thinking, who is Johnny Cash? I've never heard of this song before. but I started singing with him, and yeah, it's great. That's the great thing about touring. You learn about different music, different genres, different tastes about different people, and that was one of them.
I'm very fascinated that a lot of guys have already started predicting what's going to happen in the upcoming series and so on and so forth. But I was doing some research myself. Since winning in 76, 77 under Tony Craig, England has done quite well compared to what all of us might believe. 76, 77 they won. 81 it was a 1-0 India win. 84, 85 they won under David Garr. 93 and 2016 are the only two tours when they have done badly, in the sense that they lost 3-0 in 93 and 4-0 in 2016. But since Nasir Hussain came here with the side in 2001, English teams have always done well in India. They have competed in India. And this is unlike the narrative that you might hear on social media or from ex-players and so on and so forth. What do you credit this to?
I would say that it comes down to it filters down, doesn't it? Like Nasser was saying in 2001, wanted to change the culture of English cricket. He was tired of playing in the 90s and losing every game. He goes, this is too much. This is too heartbreaking for me. I want to change. And Duncan Fletcher and himself, they changed, the way English cricket should be played, and he brought this kind of more attacking approach, more professional approach to it. And I think through that we became better at working out game plans, in different conditions. It wasn't just think, oh, we're not great players of spin, so we're just going to get out and that's it. It was no, we're going to find a way of how do we improve our game in different conditions. Tactically, how should we captain a team tactically, which bowlers should come on. And I think his cricketing brain has been a huge influence on the English game. And the attitude has changed drastically, and even now, he's a big fan of playing your best 11. He's very much thinking, if this was an Ashes Test match, in the first Test match, would Jimmy Anderson shortboard play? And he said, I absolutely would. But if you ask him, to do the toss on a flat pitch at Brisbane and he go for a bowl. But maybe that wasn't one of his brightest decisions. He probably should have batted on that day. But apart from that, Nasser Hussain influence on English game is massive. I think he's one of the great thinkers of our beloved game, and his influence is huge. The way his approach is, he would have Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson playing. Have your best attack in the first test. He thinks you should have your best attack in Chennai. But I also believe that Nasser Hussain is, I think world cricket listens to him. It's not just England. I think around the world, people would want to listen to him. What's his view, on this situation? And I think he's got himself a brand in England where if there's a situation where you kind of think, I'm not really sure about this, I want to hear Nasser Hussain's view, and he's got this unique niche now where, people want to listen to him. What will be Nasser Hussain's view on this particular topic? And it's because of 2001 when he changed the attitude of English cricket.
And it's sort of passed on through generations. Then.
Absolutely, that's what passed it on to Michael Vaughan. And you look at his Test record as a captain, you wouldn't say it's the greatest, but he didn't have the greatest team. But the changes he made, the things he delivered, and it got to a point where him and Duncan Fletcher's relationship was so close that he knew, when is the right time to leave. And I remember Duncan Fletcher said to me one thing. He goes, Monty, there's one person in English cricket, if you need to talk about anything, if there's anything that you believe that, is, you want to talk about cricket, anything like that, he's the most loyal person I know, and that's Nasser Hussain. And that's what he said to me.
So how do you see this upcoming series? That the people have Gautam Gambhir has already written of England. How do you see this series for England?
Look, I think it's going to be, it's going to be difficult for India to lose the series. I think if India lose the series, it'll be end of Virat Kohli's captaincy. BCCI will say, sorry, mate, you focus on runs, we're going to have Ajinkya Rahane as captain. So I think Virat Kohli is under tremendous pressure. And I also think that this England team, they've done really well, where in the recent series, with Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad bowling really well. That could happen the same thing. They could blow the top order away where they're not used to the skill level of these two seamers on Indian pitches, and England could be in the driving seat, and I think that's the challenge, not the challenge, that's the contest that everybody wants to see. The top order England-India batting lineup against Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, and that's why I'm a big fan that both of them should play in the first Test match. They could potentially just bowl India out for 200 with their skillful seaming, and then England could be, in the driving seat. And that's the opportunity they have. But the difficulty is going to be is the top order, the inexperience. They haven't had much exposure to subcontinent conditions. So that could work in India's favour. And Joe Root, he's been in tremendous form. Do the Indian spinners have an answer to his sweep shot?
And what do you make of England resting their key players at various points in the series?
Yeah, well, we don't know how difficult it is being in the COVID, bubble. So they've got to think that the well-being of the players is important as well as the cricket. So England are just trying to get their best 11, as well as look after the well-being, which understandable because recently there's been so many cricketers who talked about, obviously their mental health. Virat Kohli opened about it when he in England when he didn't perform very well on his first tour. He felt like, he didn't feel like he was mentally in the right place. Glenn Maxwell's talked about it, and even like myself recently. So I think what it is that they know, ECB know that the well-being of the players is important as well as getting cricket. So they're trying to get that balance right.
I went around asking people to send in a few questions. I picked out three to four questions for you from your fans. First one is from Akash Goel. He says, "Who will score more runs in this series in your view, Virat or Joe Root?
I would probably go with Joe Root because I think he's been bowling really well. Batting really well. But look, the question is this: if India don't find the answer to his sweep shot, I think Joe Root will score more runs. If Ashwin can stop them sweeping, then I think Virat Kohli will score more runs. So that's the condition.
Yash Kumar asks you a question. How do you see this English team as compared to the one that came in 2016 under Alistair Cook?
Well, that 2012 team is much stronger. You know, we got the likes of Alistair Cook, Ian Bell, Jonathan Trott, Kevin Peterson, four strong batters compared to the England top order. You know, they don't have that experience. So I think, that is going to be the weakest link for this England team.
And what about the one that came in 2016?
Yeah, 2016. That is still, I would say that you look at England then had a stronger middle order, right? The likes of Chris Woakes, Moeen Ali, Ben Stokes. Their strength was there, but they didn't have the likes of a batsman who can score very quickly. So you need a batsman who can score quickly in Indian conditions. Now, Joss Buttler can do that. Ben Stokes can do that. That's why I wanted Moeen Ali to play in the first Test match, because he can bat well. He bats better when the ball is turning. It's the skidding pitches of Abu Dhabi, Dubai, which, he opened the batting and he wasn't obviously as successful. But when the ball's turning, he's a wonderful player. I think he should play, especially in the Chennai pitches. They're going to turn much more than Ahmedabad. So I reckon that middle order is stronger than even right now than India's. India's like 5, 6, 7, 8.
Sagar Mandan has a question about your thoughts on the current English spinners, especially Jack Leach, Tom Bess, and Moeen Ali.
Look, Moeen Ali is a better spinner by far. He's a better cricketer, better all-rounder. Jack Leach has to play because there's a right-hand batsman there. But would you want to expose two young spinners like Dom Bess and Jack Leach? No, absolutely not. I think that is going into India's favour. They are going to attack both of them. They're going to put them under pressure. They get them to bowl flat, and you need an experienced spinner in the team as well as they're playing their first Test match in India, and as well as they've done well in Sri Lanka. I think they should play Moeen Ali and Jack Leach.
Krishnan PRV has a question: are Kohli and Pujara the main threat for England?
No, I think the main threat is Pujara, not Kohli. Kohli's had a bit of a rest. He may bat well. He'll express himself. We know how Kohli is. It's Pujara who can bat, and he will take on when the team is bowling well. He would say, "I will bat in the next 5 or 6 overs, not give my wicket away." And you see him against Brisbane. He took on the bouncers. He didn't mind it. I think he actually enjoys the contest. He likes it when it's fast and it's rough and it's coming at him. He doesn't like it when it's nice easy bowling. So Pujara is going to be the main threat, I think, in this series.
And you bowled a lot against him in 2012, didn't you?
Yeah, and I got him out a few times as well. So I know what he does. He plants his foot and he transfers his weight into the ball. What you need to do is you need to beat him in the air, because he tries to copy like Rahul Dravid, but he hasn't got the nimbleness of Rahul Dravid. Again, he's a great player, but he plants that foot a bit early, and you got to beat him in the air. Nathan Lyon did it successfully a few times. You must have offside short leg if you're an off spinner or a left arm spinner against Pujara. He doesn't like it there. You need to bowl it outside off stump, and you got to get him to push out into the off stump. He wants the ball to be at the stumps, because he's got very much an onside game. And then when he's batting well, he starts opening up on the offside. Get him to play on the offside immediately, and you can get him out early. In fact, I should be playing in this Test series. England are favourites to win.
I hope Jack Leach and Tom Bess are not listening to this.
Nah, they're good. They're good youngsters, and I'm sure they're doing really well. But that's what, if Dom Bess is listening to this, or Moeen Ali, bowl outside off stump, have a short leg in front of square, because Pujara does not like having a short leg.
That's an interesting nugget for both of them. And the final question for you comes from a user named Cricket Analysis. What's your prediction for the series?
Look, India's going to win. we know that India should win. If India don't win and they lose the series, I think it's the end of Virat Kohli's captaincy. You know, so India are firm favourites. Come on, they've got. I'll give you an example. It's a turning pitch. It's like an inexperienced top order of Indian team going in June, playing on a green top. England are favourites to win. It's the same thing here. They've got a young batting lineup. Ashwin's the best bowler in the world. You've got seam bowlers who will probably move the ball more than the Australian bowlers in Australia. They potentially could move the ball more than Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad, right? Then India are favourites. They should win at least 2-1 or 3-1.
Thanks a lot, Monty. I really appreciate you giving time out of the series. Really appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate.